Okay, we're live streaming.
All right, awesome. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our January 4th Fall Line Working Group meeting. I'm trying to get the agenda. Okay, here we go. Just Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you're excited as I am to begin a new year doing all the great work that we've been doing. You know, at the end of the year, we had so much stuff that we needed to accomplish. I know that we all have exhaled, and it's kind of like, okay, now where do we pick up now? So I do think the meeting may be a little short based on some folks being absent, but can we get a roll call for attendance, please, Ms. Firestone?
Yes, ma'am.
Here.
Janice, you're breaking up, at least to me. Is she breaking up to anyone else?
Yes.
All right, 1 second.
We heard that part fine, the 1 second, but
One second. Okay, can you hear me now? All right, I was a problem with the live stream audio. Hold on 1 second. I'll get over to the attendance. Okay, Town of Ashland, Miss Amos.
Here.
Chesterfield County, Miss Smith.
Here.
Miss Walker.
Here.
Hanover County, Mr. Vidunez.
Here.
Henrico County, Mr. Yor. Miss Meidler.
here,
City of Richmond, Chair Clark.
Here.
VDOT, Mr. Riblet.
Here.
Miss McAdory. Plan RDA, Mr. Parsons.
Here.
Mr. Ariel. Mr. Bushing.
Here.
And Tri-Cities MPO, Mr. Swakowski. He is with us. I'm not sure if he's having audio problems, but I do have him marked as.
I'm here. I just hit the wrong button.
Okay. All right, that concludes the roll call for attendance. We do have a quorum.
Awesome. Item 3 is consideration of amendments to the meeting agenda. If anyone's taking a look at the agenda, is there any changes? Hearing none. Item 4, the open public comment period. I do think that this information was sent out with the agenda, but Chet,
Tyrone, we can't hear you.
oh wait,
We can
what
hear.
happened? Can you hear me? You can
Oh.
hear me?
Sorry, must be me. My bad.
I was like, I don't know what I did. Oh no, I was gonna get Chet to read the open public comment period language.
Sure. This meeting is being held in person and via Zoom. A link to the Zoom webinar where individuals may register to participate was posted at the top of the agenda. Members of the public are invited to submit public comments either verbally or in writing. Written comments can be submitted through the Q&A and chat function on Zoom, which is at the bottom of the screen, or to the email address at the top of the agenda. Written comments will be read aloud or summarized during the meeting when possible and will be included in the meeting minutes. Verbal comments will be taken at this time, and please indicate by raising your hand or through the Q&A chat functions on Zoom if you would like to comment. When acknowledged by the chair, please clearly state your name so that it may be recorded in the meeting minutes. And Madam Chair, we don't have anyone noted in the meeting this morning that wishes to speak through the Zoom functions, but we'll be tracking that as we move forward, and we'll let you know if anyone request time.
Okay, great. All right, I will turn it over to you, Mark, for item 5, VDOT update.
I can give a real quick brief update. Going to boil it down to Design Bill 1, 2, and 3, and then the wayfinding contract request. So Design Bill 1 was advertised December 13th. We do anticipate construction starting mid to late 2023. Again, I can provide a link to the RFP website that VDOT has. I'll put that in the chat. So we're anxiously awaiting any kind of feedback and response we get to that RFP. Design Build 2. We do anticipate that the RFP would be advertised later this year. CTB location approval was approved at the December 2022 CTB meeting. It does include a deficit with UPC, 121613 of almost $10 million. We're working through all the UPCs included in Design Build 2, and we'll coordinate it with the impacted project sponsors to see how we need to move forward with that. Design Build 3, RFP is expected approximately 9 months after Design Build 2. And at this point, we do anticipate that that is fully funded to the preliminary estimate. Relative to the wayfinding contract request, Chet, we appreciate the request. I know Liz is looking at that draft scope internally to determine which on-call may be best available. We're hoping to get something back to you the first part of next week, and we'll coordinate with you after that. At this point, that's what I have from a VDOT update perspective.
Madam Chair, I can give a brief update on the wayfinding contract.
Okay, Chad, let me just ask Mark one question on the Design Build 1. When does that RFP close?
Scott, are you online right now?
Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so to give everyone some dates here, as Mark said, we advertised the RFP on December 13th, 22. The RFP questions are due to VDOT on January 11th, 23. Our VDOT responses, those questions are due on the 25th of January, 2023. Their price proposals are due on March 14th of 23. Our notice of intent to award will be March 17th of 23, with a CTB award on April 22nd. The contract execution is planned for May 22nd of this year. And that will give us a notice to proceed of May 24th this year, with a final completion date of September 18th, 2025.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, I got a quick question, probably a dumb question. You said there's a Design Build 1, 2, and 3. What are 2 and 3?
So 2
What's
is
1, 2, and 3?
1 is coming out of Ashland down over the Chickahominy. 2 is coming up from Petersburg past Virginia State, and 3 takes that further into Chesterfield.
Okay, thanks for that information, Scott and Mark. And I guess we want to talk about a little bit just what we'll do. I guess we could talk about it later on, just kind of pulling together some of the activities of the localities in VDOT and still maybe having some kind of publicity for CVTA members, authority members, as some of the big portions kick off. Maybe keep that in mind on how we could incorporate them into the implementation phase of spending their money. All right, Chet, you want to tell us about the wayfinding?
I can do that, Madam Chair. Barb has her hand raised. I don't know if it's about
Sorry,
something
Barb.
else.
Barb?
Yeah, I had a question. So Design Build 2, which is from Petersburg all the way to Route 10 in Chester. You said later this year. Previously, we were hearing mid-23. Are you still tracking for mid-23?
We're totally honest, we're anticipating that maybe just a little bit later, more towards the fall.
Okay, and then you said 9 months after for the section that goes from Route 10 to Route 1.
Correct.
Okay.
Hey, Mark, one more question on Design Build 2. You said that it's $10 million short because we were asked to withdraw the application for the part from Petersburg to Virginia State. have we done something wrong? Because like I said, we were asked by Liz to do that for Smart Scale.
No indication that anybody has done anything wrong at this point. Planning is working through all the UPCs, including in design build 2, and again, is gonna kind of reach out to any impacted sponsors at this point, but no one's done anything wrong.
Great, thank you.
And I just talked to Liz before the holidays, and she said Design Build 2 was fully funded, because I saw in the static 6-year plan revised, like an $8 million something balance hanging out there. But Liz looked in the live one and it's fully funded.
So we're working in, these are information and notes that she had provided to me last night, because I was out over the holidays. So we're just trying to sort that out and make sure that we get that crystal clarified in terms of exactly where we are, so that everybody is on board.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Chet.
Thank you. Just a quick update on the wayfinding plan that Mark mentioned. Staff has been working with sports backers to rough out a draft scope for the wayfinding plan. As you recall, CVTA set aside up to $75,000 to get that plan completed. And that's kind of the last component of the documentation that we think is necessary to get the fall line moving, to be paired with the VDOT design guide, plan, and the SBAs. So I expect to have that draft ready for review by you all by the end of this week. And I'd like to send it, if it's okay, Madam Chair, I'd like to just send it by email with the due date. It's going to be pretty simple, but I'd like you to review the contents and make sure we're not leaving anything out that you feel might be necessary to have in there. The goal is to use on-call bench, and Mark, tell me if I can do this or not. I haven't talked to legal counsel. I'd like to use both the DRPT and VDOT bench and send it to both to see what kind of response we get. But the idea is to get this moving quickly and have something done by the end of the fiscal year. So it'll be in place. Probably not in May when the notice to proceed goes forward for design build 1, but soon after. And then everything will line up for hopefully use by localities and everybody else as we move forward on other segments.
To answer your question, certainly when Liz determines what on-call contracts have the contract authority and the kind of mechanisms to cover what you've kind of outlined in the scope, asking them for a fee proposal is certainly fine to do if that works for you. Great. If it doesn't, certainly you can ask for fee proposals from DRPT as well. There's certainly no harm in doing both.
Okay.
We're going to get you options from our contracts, whatever we can get through that way. And again, Liz is hoping to get back to you next week on that.
Great. Thanks.
Yep.
Awesome. That sounds good. All right, we're going to move to the next item, which is the SPA agreements for the localities update. Eric did email me yesterday and stated that the city, Henrico, and Chesterfield had received the latest draft. Their attorneys had received the latest draft. I know that Richmond's attorney has provided some questions or conversation, and Eric's going to follow up with him. And so Eric is trying to have, by the end of this month, a recommendation from our governing bodies for approval. So if, I know Sharon, I know Todd's not on, and then Barb, I don't know if you've spoken with your attorneys just to ensure that they have provided Eric any comments regarding that SPA agreement. But I know you all met before, so maybe you all are more in place than we were.
No, I think we're pretty far away, but It is
Oh,
on our attorney's to-do list.
Okay.
And I don't have an update. I need to check in with Todd early next week, or I could check in with the attorneys, but I'd rather wait for Todd when he gets back on Monday. To
Okay.
make sure I don't confuse matters.
And so again, just everyone, this is the SPA agreement for localities administering their, sections of the Fall Line Trail. So we do want to have those in place so that we can begin to implement some of our segments as well with the regional funds.
Hey,
All right,
Jerome?
moving. Yes, ma'am. GCA.
Yeah, and that agreement, I think, really is for administration of any regionally, CBT regional funded project.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry about that. It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Barb. So Dorona, so you mentioned Chesterfield, Henrico, Richmond attorneys are looking at the agreement. Will a draft eventually go out to the rest of the localities for review? So this is kind of a working group, and then once the groups are
Yeah.
comfortable, then it goes out to everybody for review. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna get Eric to send. Yeah, that's what they were saying. But I can get Eric to send out that latest draft to everyone. I wasn't sure if he was gonna combine ours and then send that one out. I think we had this conversation before. But let me talk to Eric and see what step we need in order to get everybody a copy of the draft to review. Thank you, Joe. All right, got that. So then item 7 on the agenda is the schedule and spending plan timeline update. Chet, you're gonna have to help me.
Sure. This is just a reminder to everybody on December 8th, when the CBTA met, they approved the spending plan, which broke out all the projects that are receiving regional funds and kind of what the phasing would be for that in terms of when expected funds are applied. We've cleaned that up since then, because when it was in the agenda, it had a couple highlights that TAC was reviewing, but since then it's been finalized and cleaned up, and I don't think it's there yet, but we'll be posting a separate link on the meetings page just to that document. And we could send it out to everybody too, if that's worthwhile.
Yeah, if you could do that, that would be helpful to know when it's done. Are there any questions on that? Hands. Item 8 are the locality updates on the Fall Line Trail project. Barb, I guess Vito's doing some of yours. Sharon, do you have any update?
Sure. I can run through some. I have some notes. I'll start from the south, where we tie into the city of Richmond with the Park Street project. We're working on pedestrian hybrid beacons design and coordinating with VDOT, trying to get that design finalized so we can proceed to right of way. The next northern section is Lakeside Community Trail Phase 1. The environmental documents have been approved and signed. Lakeside 2 is the next one. We're working on 90% plans. And then a step after that will be to get to right-of-way authorization. Lakeside 3, we're in the right-of-way phase, and we're working with Dominion on one pole relocation. The next northern phase is the Brook and Hilliard. We're about 60% plans. We have a scoping meeting scheduled with VDOT this week. And the next northern section is Villa Park. We should have 90%. We're working on 90% plans. And then there's the Longdale section. Should have 70% plans submitted from WRA in the next 2 weeks. We've been coordinating with Dominion about the amenities. We will need to have more discussion about that. And so that's the northern section, and then the design build 1 will tie into that. So that's about where Henrico is.
Wow, that's a lot, Sharon.
We've been busy and trying to keep pushing forward.
Awesome. Any other localities have any updates?
Dorona, not so
Yes,
much an
Joe.
update, but just almost kind of a question. Of course, VDOT is doing design or design build section 1. They are overseeing it, and Mark had given an update. We received, somebody recently provided us with comments from the public hearing, and they were mostly almost entirely positive. But there were a couple comments in there, like requests for bathrooms or park and ride lots and things of that nature. And I was just wondering how VDOT was intending to address those comments. I also there were a couple comments about the bridge design crossing the Chickahominy that I didn't see, but I know that they were made because I provided a comment, and I know of another person that provided a comment about the design, and I'd be interested to see how VDOT responds to those comments as well. And I guess I would ask Scott, did you see the bridge comments? And how will you respond to the other comments that were received?
Yeah, Joe, I did see the bridge comment. I saw that you had one as far as the style of the bridge. Being that's design build, we have to give the design builder a basic option to bid off of. Now, if the design builder wants to utilize a truss style bridge, something more aesthetically pleasing, or any different style of bridge, they can elect to do so. But we don't define what that has to look like. We do define things such as, railings have to be powder coated black, the entire section of trail, just to have some uniformity with railing or something like that. But for the bridge, that's kind of if we got into specifying a certain type of bridge, that could be problematic in that a design builder may come in, they may propose a single span bridge, they may propose a 3-span bridge. The Chickahominy crossing is a very sensitive area because of the floodplain. If the design builder goes in and does his H&HA analysis and realizes I have to do a single span, then a certain type of bridge may not fit, just because it's going to be 130 to 150 foot span, if that makes sense. Because anything they do with putting piers in the Chickahominy will impact the 100-year floodplain. So that's kind of a long way to tell you, Joe, we didn't specify the type of bridge that the design builder has to build. Now with regard to the amenities and I guess trailheads and bathrooms, VDOT's not building any of that. We're building the backbone of the trail, if you will, the structure itself. It was always intended that localities would be identifying areas where they would have trailheads and different amenities.
Okay, well, appreciate that. Just last comment on the bridge, then I'll leave it alone. But I just see it as an opportunity to try to hopefully, or I was hoping that a design that would kind of mimic or replicate, at least in appearance, the original structure that crossed there was an opportunity that I think looks like is going to be missed. But I understand the reasoning.
Yeah, and Joe, the original structure was a 3-span bridge with actually had steel piers. If you look at some of the old pictures, you had your concrete piers at the bottom, and then you had steel piers on top of that. I don't think we could replicate that style bridge today, but it'll be something when I get a design builder on board. I'll be working closely with them and seeing what options we have to make obviously an aesthetically pleasing bridge that also meets the VDOT structure and bridge requirements. So I agree. I want to have something that looks, let's just say, looks cool and not just like a standard VDOT bridge out there. I'd like to see something more, think of like the Conspan trusses or something like that. So yeah, we'll be working with a design builder and making sure that we're doing everything in our power to push towards something aesthetically pleasing, if you will.
Thanks. I think that's a great compromise.
Yep. Nope.
Hey, Dorona, can I jump?
We'll plug you in, obviously, as we start getting into the when we get submissions and to get you guys to take a look at what we're doing. We're not going to operate in a vacuum. So,
Barb?
That was exactly what I was hoping to hear from Scott, that the localities will be involved in the design build process to a certain degree. Is that true? Will be kind of part of the decision-making process?
Yeah, and I mean, you know how that goes, Barb. We can't, we'll have a contract that we need to follow. But as far as looking at what type of design we're getting from the design builder, we'll absolutely be looking for input from localities.
So is there something you can do with design build 2 to maybe some language in the RFP to steer them towards something that is, I know that VSU and Petersburg and Chesterfield all kind of have a vision in their head about how that bridge is going to look over the Appomattox. Is there some sort of guidance that can be included in the RFP to make sure it doesn't come in as just something that we're all disappointed in?
I'm going to say yes. We can, we can definitely work on that, because I know going across the Appomattox, there's also some old abutments down there we're talking about possibly using.
Mm-hmm.
So that is still a possibility, I think, if we utilize that. But yeah, that'd be something that I need to work with Structure and Bridge. Now, the southern section has 4 major bridge crossings, really. So it's going to be much more bridge intensive. But yeah, we'll work with our Structure and Bridge folks to see what we can and can't do across the Appomattox.
Yeah. Is it possible for us to review the RFP?
I think APD's very sensitive about putting that out beforehand for localities to review. We can discuss that.
Okay.
With them and talk about that, because the southern section is going to be a 2-phase, so we'll have an RFQ going out and then follow it up with an RFP.
And doesn't that kind of help us be sure that they're going in the right direction, having the 2-phase?
2-phase is much better.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then one last thing, following up on what Joe was asking with the public comments, will you guys be responding back to those comments? Letting them know that, this project's just the trail. We're not talking about trailheads or potties or anything.
Yep. We will be responding back to that. I think it's just getting everyone back from the holidays.
Yeah.
Once we got the comments in and everyone was taking off. So, yep, they will be addressed here in short order.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Barb.
Awesome. Do we have anyone else? I know I'll give a quick update for the city of Richmond. One of the things that we're currently undergoing is the development of a public engagement plan. And really what that does is we've decided to create 4 levels. Level 1 kind of being the lowest hanging fruit project, as with 4 being more complex. As you know, we have some issues still with the public and some of the design as proposed in the location hearing, and not really change of location, really just what can we do to mitigate some of the design impacting natural resources and other things that our citizens have noted. So we think that being able to have a plan that outlines what the public participation will be in a lot of those segments will help to expedite implementation of those. So that's something that we're doing right now. We do have a couple of segments on the south side, Commerce Road, and I want to say Walmsley. I just looked at it yesterday. Sorry, haven't made the sausage yet. But both of those, we're waiting. We're taking to city council for our VDOT SPA agreements to move forward. Those are some of the ones that were in the last round of Smart Scale. You know, we will still be in preliminary engineering on those segments. So those are just some brief updates from the city of Richmond. Any questions? If not, our next item is the future topics. So I think that we do have, looking at the SPA, we should have either by the next meeting those drafts going out to the localities that we can begin to talk about and see that. You know, we always do good with VDOT updates, so we would love to have that again. We did have some interest from, I don't know, a group that really wanted to just come present to us about funding opportunities and for the gap that exists with the Fall Line Trail and funding strategies. I don't know, you know, just something maybe with the federal dollars that we can be looking at. So we may have them on the agenda just to present some information. So that could be helpful to the group. Are there any other topics that you all would like to talk about next month on the Fall Line?
Dirona, it's Nora.
Hey, Nora.
Hey, Happy New Year, everyone. I've been holding off on this question thinking someone would bring it up. Does anyone have an update on if the state has amended their priority list, or if anyone's had any further conversation with state representatives on the Fall Line being on the trail priority list?
I guess, Mark, do you want to answer that?
The quick answer is we don't have any additional information that would tell us that those priorities have changed. I know relative to the Trails Office, there are the beginnings of the Trails Office internal to VDOT are being set up with the creation of 2 positions, one in local assistance that interviews are being held today, and one in TMPD that I think the advertisement is still on the board. I don't know that that is closed yet. So we don't have staffing from a Trails Office at this point in terms of those positions that were created. And we don't have any indication that the priorities that were identified have changed.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Rona,
Yes.
your comment about the funding of the gaps triggered this again. And so with Design Build 2, if there is a funding gap, when do you think you'll know about that? Raise grants are out there and applications are due at the end of February. So it might be an opportunity to get, I know that Design Build 2 package is already federalized, so we might be able to go after some money for that. Mark or Scott, when will you know if there's a funding gap on design build 2?
Barb, we're hoping to be able to get that back to Chet and you guys next week when we talk about the wayfinding as well.
Okay, sounds good.
Awesome. Are there any other questions? All right, well, hearing none, our next meeting is going to be on February the 1st, 2023. And again, seeing no hands, move for adjournment. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
You.
Thanks, y'all.